So it's about that time. We are finally gonna get to see the Fighting Irish on the field in the big stage. And now that we are here, I want to talk about some of the keys to the game for how Notre Dame can ultimately beat Indiana to move on to the round of 8, and beyond that, how they can make a deep run. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 40,000 subscribers, and with your support, I believe that we can get there super fast. Alright, so one of the obvious keys to the game for Notre Dame against the Hoosiers is to win the turnover battle. They're playing a team that is really good at that. Notre Dame is 2nd in the country, and Indiana is 4th. And another thing that Notre Dame has to do that is pretty simple is just lean into their DNA. They're an offensive and defensive line driven program. They need to win the battle of the trenches, and from there, I think the other areas can really open up. They need to win both sides of the ball. One thing I can say is the running game has been pretty incredible for the Irish this year, but Indiana actually has the #1 rush defense in all of college football right now, so that creates a really interesting dynamic to this game. But I'm still not completely sold that Indiana is going to be able to stop the Irish rushing attack, because they really did not play anyone this year. The only team they did play was Ohio State, and OSU had their way for majority of the game, especially in the second half. So I think Notre Dame right out of the gate should try to run the ball down Indiana's throats with Price and Love, and even Riley Leonard can get involved in the run game as well when he decides to take off when nobody is open. One thing I can say about the Indiana defense though is that they are very quick and they are fundamentally sound, so the Irish O-line does have their work cut out for them. But if Mike Denbrock calls the game to where Notre Dame just chips away one play at a time and stays within themselves, Indiana is going to wear down, because they already will be losing the size battle by a lot, and it's going to take a lot of energy to try to close that gap. It is crazy how much Notre Dame has improved offensively since the beginning of the season and that NIU loss. I know some people still have their doubts about Riley Leonard, but I think the offensive line is now at the point where you can be pretty confident in this offense being able to do anything, no matter how talented or what rank the opposing defense and defensive line has. And then switching over to Notre Dame's defense, they still have the #1 pass efficiency defense in the country. I think the pass rush does have to be better. Howard Cross being back is really going to help with that. He's #2 in sacks, he's #2 in tackles for a loss. He really opens up opportunities for guys on the edge. And Notre Dame is going to have to get home, because if Curtis Rourke can stand up and get comfortable in the pocket, then that could create some problems. But if the Irish defense comes out super aggressive and gets a few early pressures and a sack or two, or they even force a fumble, then I think they are going to get in Rourke's head early, and then the crowd is going to be involved. It's going to make things really tough on the Hoosiers. Anyways, even with that horrific loss to NIU in week 2, Notre Dame has a major advantage over the Hoosiers because they are battle tested. They have played those tough games, so even if Indiana gets off to a good start and Notre Dame sees themselves with their backs against the wall, there's going to be no panic. They're just going to make the adjustments and fight back. Obviously, Indiana can win this game. I think just about anyone can beat anyone in this tournament from what I've seen, but the Irish definitely have a huge edge. I know I've already said this, but this game will be back and forth. I'd be a fool to say Notre Dame isn't going to run into any adversity. They are running into a hungry 11-1 team that is pissed off because of what has been said about them. And I think Kirk Cignetti has instilled a belief within the entire team that they can beat anyone. But going back to Notre Dame beyond just round 1 and how they can make a deep playoff run, I really do think it's going to come down to the offensive line. And I am a firm believer that sometimes winning in the trenches just comes down to pride and just saying, hey, tonight nobody is going to touch number 13, no matter how much and how many ways you try to get at him. It's all mentality, and I think being in that playoff environment in the first ever home playoff game in college football history, I think the environment is going to be electric. I think it's going to send shivers down the players' spines. They're going to be juiced up. I think the O-line is going to have one of the best games of the season, and they will have to bring that mentality to the neutral sites as well. And it's also key to winning situational football. If you want to be great on 3rd down, you've got to win the line of scrimmage. If it's 3rd and 2, you don't have to create a huge gaping hole, but you got to create that sliver for either Leonard or one of the backs to get through. It's Notre Dame, man. Marcus Freeman has said that he wants to be a line-driven football program. Well, the playoffs is when you show that. It has to come out now, and that's what's at stake for this Notre Dame offensive line. Because for a team like Ohio State that says they're all about toughness, they didn't show it on the big stage against Michigan. They were all talk. The only real fight they showed was after the game during that whole flag planting thing. So for Notre Dame, it can't be all talk. The line has to show real toughness in a winner-take-all game. But enough of that. Now let's move on and talk more about Marcus Freeman, because he has a chance to really show what a leader he is. He already kind of proved it with how he got this entire team to buy in and bounce back after one of the most embarrassing losses in the program's history. Him taking the side of being for the players and working with them instead of getting angry and going off on them won them over. I mean, we all saw the video a few years ago when he met the entire team for the first time after becoming the head coach. Everyone was super happy and embraced him with full arms. I think because of his young age and just his demeanor and mentality about the game, he has built one of the strongest coach-player bonds in all of college football. And sometimes the actual environment within a locker room can be more important than the actual talent on the field and the schemes that are drawn up. When he was asked about the upcoming playoffs, this is what Freeman had to say. Listen, you're talking about a college football playoff game. Every college football team that's in the playoffs is gonna have a chip on its shoulder. There ain't gonna be any lack of motivation. There ain't gonna be a lack of motivation for anybody. It's still gonna be about preparation and performance. That's what matters most. Every game we play, you have to control your emotions. It will be an emotional game. This is a big game, we all know that. It's still ultimately going to come down to execution, and preparation is going to help you execute at a high level. I hope as my career continues to move forward here, that there is a consistency in performance. It has nothing to do with who you're going against. Is it home or away? Is it a playoff game or not? There has to be a consistency in terms of the standard in which we play. So ultimately, discipline is how Notre Dame will be able to make a deep run in college football's first ever 12-team playoff. Indiana is going to run a lot of screens. They're going to run a lot of misdirections. The Irish defense is going to have to communicate for 60 full minutes, and they can't bite on anything. If a big play happens, it happens. Indiana can score in a hurry, but if Notre Dame stays locked in for a full 4 quarters, they will win. Here's what some other people have had to say about the Irish as they get ready to go into their first playoff game.
In a game between same state opponents, this is also the first time that Notre Dame has played a game at Notre Dame Stadium on a Friday night. These two teams have been super dominant all season long. Now, Notre Dame and Indiana, they have received a little bit of criticism about the level of competition that they've played, but who cares? They're in the field, and what they have done, even though while their strength of schedule numbers maybe not up to snuff of typical college football playoff contenders, look at the level of dominance.
That's all I got for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you'd like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.